When it comes to anime series and manga series themselves, there are a lot of good and bad ones to choose from. Sure, narrowing down what's good and what's bad is a chore and a hassle that nobody wants to have, but at the same time, it's actually not as bad as a lot of people think. Okay, yes, it is quite annoying, and, well, beyond a doubt, it's bad as all can be, but still, it's actually quite fun if you know what you're doing. While one person can have an opinion that says that this show's good, another one might say it's bad. And though we're all entitled to our own opinion, it's that opinion that we hold. We think it's good for this reason. While others think it's good as well, it may not be for the same reason that we think it's good. Case in point today, Eiken. I'm Andrew Rhodes, and this is Andrew Reviews, Eiken. Eiken is a 18-volume manga series that had a 2-episode OVA spin-off in 2003 to 2004. While the manga series itself expands tremendously on the world that Eiken has, the OVA focuses squarely on one story arc from one volume of the manga. Yeah, and they squeezed it into 2 episodes. I'm actually going to be talking about both things and why I like them so much. Eiken to me is a love story. And it's a love story first and an Ichi series second. And in all honesty, if I want to watch an Ichi series, there's a tremendous amount to choose from. Believe me, there's a tremendous amount to choose from. But I look for something more. And I found it in Eiken. The story is basically simple. It's like sort of a Romeo and Juliet sort of deal. Only no warring families, no feuding relatives, just 2 people that love one another and can't confess their love for each other. I'm a sucker for this type of stuff, and honestly, Eiken suckered me in. Okay, well, granted, I was interested in one thing at first, the overly large breasts. I will admit that the story itself just sucked me in. While the manga series doesn't exactly have a continuous story arc, so to speak, it doesn't have one chapter that leads into the next following the same events, other than Densuke joining the Eiken Club, meeting Chiharu and the rest of the girls in said Eiken Club, and basically the adventures that they have. While that doesn't exactly follow through on each and every chapter, you do see the adventures that they have, which is the whole basis of the series. Though some chapters are standalone and the events of one chapter may not completely follow into the next. A good example of this is the misunderstandings that Chiharu has towards Densuke and some of the situations he's put into, where he expresses at the end of the chapter, "It took me X amount of days to explain this to Chiharu." One, it took him almost an entire year. Poor kid. In all honesty, it's actually the fact that she's kind of jealous. Okay, I know. Here's the thing. Chiharu likes Densuke. For the 2 of them, it was literally love at first sight. Chiharu always had feelings for Densuke, but just could never bring herself to tell him. She's too shy. Chiharu is the oldest of her siblings and constantly keeps an eye on her younger ones, including her younger sister Yuriko, who also has a thing for Densuke. Though, unlike Chiharu, she's lacking 2 massive assets that Chiharu kinda has. Yeah, constantly making fun of her sister for it and, doing some things that you would kinda think are weird. Like I said, the manga series itself expands tremendously on this, going so far as to introducing us to Chiharu's family, to Densuke's sibling, so on and so forth down the road. Even some of the adventures that they have together, like Chiharu's youngest siblings wanting to go to an amusement park and trying to force Densuke and Chiharu to kiss so they can get married. While cute and adorable, it's, you gotta admit, funny as hell. Then there's another one where one of Chiharu's brothers, who likes taking to dressing as her, mostly to screw with people since they kind of look alike, decided to see how trustworthy Densuke actually is towards his older sister. While it worked out fairly well, it's still kind of weird. And then there's Densuke's youngest sister, who, or I should say younger sister, who actually met Chiharu by accident. Chiharu thinking that it was Densuke in disguise, courtesy of Kurika, who's constantly taken to multiple times dressing him as a female and throwing him into awkward situations, like participating in a physical exam, trying to do this and that, what have you. Hey, it's an ecchi comedy. What do you expect? Anyway, the story constantly comes to a head, including one subplot and giant arc where one of the quote-unquote school representatives, in this case one of the heads of the student council, decides that all clubs should be disbanded to save money for the school. What does she do? She decides to target the Eiken club. She destroys the clubhouse, she brings them to their knees, and Chiharu is about to give up her title at the school and drop out, only for Densuke to step in and save her in the end, like the hero that he is, constantly doing this stuff. He will always be there to protect Chiharu from anything, including the time when they actually were participating in a challenge set up by the Eiken Club to deal with the massive amount of heat. It was an endurance challenge. And what Densuke was doing was simple. He was shielding Chiharu from the other guys in the challenge. Well, basically that were in the challenge, I should say. He was shielding Chiharu by using his body to block her exposing undergarments because of her sweating. Everybody had to wear what I'm assuming is a crappy gym shirt, and sadly, the extreme heat was causing them to sweat, and, well, you can put two and two together. Think wet t-shirt contest, but not in a good way. At least for Densuke. He wanted to do anything to protect Chiharu, and he did. And she was constantly thanking him for it. And that's just in the manga series alone. When you get into the OVA, it's even better. Chiharu is like this massively wonderful person, and Densuke is the helpless idiot that we all are. He constantly knows he likes her. He knows he's in love with her. He will do whatever it takes to keep her safe, to see if she's wrong. If she's upset, he wants to know why, to see if he can help. He's a wonderful human being, and Chiharu is just the exact match for him. And it's one of the reasons why I like this series so much. It's just a touching love story. Okay, yes, it's a touching love story that's underneath massive breasts, comedy, ecchi stuff, and a whole bunch of other things thrown in, like mech suits, creepy fortune tellers, weird people, weird stunts, what have you. But it's still a good series. Even when Densuke was teamed up with Chiharu for the final leg of the race in the OVA, he sacrificed the race to make sure that her purity and dignity was not destroyed. When her bikini top came off and she ended up falling off the banana boat into the air, he jumped off and covered her so that nothing would be exposed. I'm telling you, he's just a true gentleman, and it's just one of the main reasons why I like this series so much. It's a love story that just speaks volumes among itself. I honestly think it would have been better off if it had just been its own standalone series instead of a 2-episode OVA. Then again, it'd be nice if the manga series would actually finish so that, well, things could be seen from a lot better of a standpoint. But then again, it's that and everything else. So, what would I give Eiken if I had to rate it? A solid 5 out of 5. While I'm not exactly happy that they only took one part of the manga series and turned it into an OVA, I'm still not exactly pissed, as it kind of gives us the ability to see our favorite characters show off their stuff in animated form instead of just leaving it to our imaginations. Though, it would be nice if it would get its own series, but I'll save that for a rant video. Until next time, I'm Andrew Rhodes, and this has been Andrew Reviews.